A lot of students are absent today because of being in the mud and field trip, so the weather was kind of nasty. So I'm gonna record this. Number 41. How do you determine the total number of possible outcomes of more than one event? So let's say I have 7 shirts in my closet and 10 pairs of pants. How many different possible outcomes? So I have 7 shirts and 10 pairs of pants. How many different possible outfits could I make with 7 shirts and 10 pants? Does anyone know how to do that? I heard it, what is it? 70. How did you get that? You multiply the number of outcomes of each event, and that's the total number of possible outcomes. Okay? So you multiply those two. Next, 42. How do you calculate the probability that an event will take place? So do you remember yesterday we did the question about the shirts? He's got, it was 11 shirts, and 5 were striped and 6 were solid. What was the probability that he randomly picked a shirt and it was a solid? So it would be, there were 6 solid shirts out of 11, so it's the number of favorable outcomes over the number of possible outcomes. That's how you do probability. How do you determine the absolute value of a number? What is the absolute value? How far is that number, how many units is it away from 0? So you take the positive of that number, and that's the absolute value. Number 44. How do you multiply expressions that have a common base? So here's an example. What's the rule? Now, if you want to work on speed, you got to know these rules, like that. You can't be like tapping your pencil and saying, oh, I remember doing this. You got to go, bam. What's the answer? X squared times x to the 5th. You add the exponents when you're multiplying. And the next question says, what do you do when you divide and they have a common base? Well, then you subtract exponents. And what do you do when you raise a power to a power? You multiply the exponents. So you got to know those three properties. Next, how do you multiply and divide roots? So here's a multiplication problem. The index has to be the same, and simply all you do is multiply what's underneath. So this would be square root of 15. Now, if you can get a pair of something, you pull that out. So I didn't talk about simplifying, but that's how you multiply and divide. If they're the same index, you know you can cancel. 3 goes into 6 2 times. So it's square root of 2. Okay? Next, how do you simplify square roots? Well, you're looking for 2 of a kind because it's square root, or cube root. You look for 3 of a kind. So here's an example, square root of 12. You've got, it's 4 times 3, so square root of 4 is 2. 2 root 3 would be your answer. And how do you add or subtract square roots or cube roots, any kind of root? They have to be the same index, and the number underneath the radical has to be the same. What do? You combine their coefficients. So this is going to be -2 times the square root of 2. Okay? What if it said, I'm taping. Oh, sorry, that's okay.
I didn't register what you said until too late.
Okay,
I apologize.
that's okay.
Those are for Tuesday.
Okay,
You have none for Monday. They are in top-down order, so you should be able to just work through the stack.
am I passing these out?
No, give them to them on Tuesday. I just don't have the manpower to both grid and pass this all day.
These are for
So,
Tuesday.
Those are for Tuesday.
So Tuesday, when they come in, give them to them.
Yes, and you have some for first hour, so
Okay,
it says that.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry about your taping.
Sorry. So adding and subtracting square roots, or you just combine the coefficient. And the last one, how do you simplify an algebraic fraction? Here's an algebraic fraction. Can I just cancel these x squareds out? Say no. 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 What do you have to do? You have to factor then cancel. So factoring that would be, you should be able to factor that easy, and then factor the denominators, the difference of two perfect squares, so these cancel. And do not cancel these x's. You can't do that, so your answer is x minus 4 over x minus 3. Questions on any of those 10? So for this weekend, I want you to work on the next 10 on KAPLAN, and let's go over the multiple choice ones. And I'm going to show you some tricks here. Here is test number 3 in hot pink. There we go. Which of the following is a factor of this? Well, that's easy to factor. You guys know how to factor that, right? X minus 6 times x plus 4. This is like just basic algebra stuff. So obviously you got the answer is A, right? What if you can't, you just are just lost. You don't know how to factor. I'm going to show you how to do it on this Inspire. Everyone have an Inspire? So I want you to go to, we're going to graph. Menu. I'm going to get a new document. I don't want to save that, so I'm going to add a graph. So I'm going to type in right here, and if you don't have this at the bottom, hit tab and you'll get it. You'll see, hit tab on the left. So I want you to type in that equation, this right here, x squared minus 2x minus 24. Type that in here, x squared, x to the second power minus 2x, and then minus 24. And then hit enter, and it will graph it for you. Ooh, there's your graph. Do you know what this number is right here? It's -4. And this number is 6. So -4 and 6 are your two zeros. Okay? How do you put those two zeros in factored form? And we did a lot of work in this area. If 6 is a 0, x minus 6 is a factor. If -4 is a 0, x plus 4 is a factor. Easy? Okay, if they said solve it, if they said solve this, these would be your two answers. But they wanted you to write it in factored form. Now the next question is asking you to solve this. You have the flight of a projectile, we did these in chapter 2, these were the chapter 2 story problems, is modeled by this h equals -16t squared plus 48t plus 64. They want to know when will the object reach the ground, so h is 0. So let's say you look at this, how many of you looked at this and went, I don't want to do this one? Okay, so, what are you going to do? Graph it, let's do that. So, hit, you want to, we're going to type, now if you hit tab and it says F2, hit the arrow button up and it'll go to, back to this. So sometimes it's easier to delete, just don't go too far. Type in -16, and I use x. You don't have to actually have a t there. Plus 48x, and then plus 64. And then graph it. And there are your two answers. -1 and +4. Now, why is -1 not an answer? Because can you have -1 seconds? No. So 4 seconds is the only answer. Done. Now, was that easier? Wasn't it easier than doing, now, how would you do it the long way? Because I don't want your brain to turn to mush. What I did for this one is I took out a -16. Some of you are good with this. You can do this quicker than typing it in, that's a way to work on speed, is knowing what to do. Pull out the -16, factor it, and there you go. There's your two answers, 4 and -1.
I'm
Yes.
so confused why number one, like the value is given in single, don't chose the essential for that type
Yeah, they didn't give both of them. Yes.
So,
It's the question back, she wants to know, she said both of these are correct, yeah, but this question says, which of the following is a factor? Is one of them. Is one of them. They're both correct, but you don't see x minus 6.
Is Taylor Thompson here?
Yes. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
They're both correct, but they want to know which is a factor. So they didn't list them both. Okay. Number 3, what is the range? What does range mean? The y values. So this thing goes from 1 to 5, which is D, 1 to 5. It's greater than 1, less than or equal to 5. It's equal to 1 also. See, it hits here and it hits here. Now, if these were open circles here, this would be less than 5, not less than equal to. Number 4, they give you a function. F of x is equal to 2, and then in parentheses, x squared plus 7. They want you to evaluate this function for f of a plus b. So you have to plug a plus b right inside here. So follow order of operations. You're going to square a plus b. You get a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. You're going to add 7 to that, and then distribute 2 to everything. So you end up with 2a squared plus 4ab plus 2b squared plus 14, which is G. Questions on that one? We did these, believe it or not, in, I think, chapter 3. Okay, the next one, number 5. Might be a little vague or fuzzy, because you guys did these in freshman year. When it says, you have to read this, it says D varies directly with weight, as the weight. So there it is, right there. D varies directly with the weight. So D is equal to some constant times your weight. So the constant is equal to D over W. Well, they tell you that a weight of 130 stretches 13 inches. So 13 is your distance and 130 is your weight. That's your K value. So now you will plug this in for K, and by the way, you could make this a decimal. You could use the fraction or the decimal. So what you have is a model. D is equal to 0.1 K. Well, they want to know, how far is this going to spring with a 40-pound weight? Whoops, this should have been W, sorry. 0.1 W. So how far, what would be the distance with a 40-pound weight? So then you plug 40 in here and multiply D is 4. It's going to spring 4 inches. Okay, so the correct answer was D. Number 6. Systems of equations. And what they're asking you in this problem is to solve for C, solve for D, and then look, it says add the two answers together. So that one, what I did was I stacked. I took C plus 4D equals 8. And I did 8C minus 9D equals negative 18. And I solved it. I multiplied the top by negative 8. And then I added, got negative 41D is negative 82. Divide by negative 41 and D is 2. Now, I plugged 2 in for D right here, and I got 8, the 2 8's canceled out, C is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. So 2 is the correct answer. Number 7. This is a composition, f of g, it's not multiplying. They want you to take, remember the letter closest to the variable x, you're gonna plug x minus 4 in here, and you should, so you could save time, do that. How do you square a binomial? You square the first term, you multiply the next 2 together times 2, and then you square the last term and then add 3. So, you wanna go, your brain has to go really fast. You gotta move on these so you have enough time to finish the test. Number 8. You're solving for A. A to the third power is 27. So which of these 3 numbers cubed is 27? It's E. Or, I'm sorry, F. It's an F. It's F. The next one, which of these is equal to 4? Well, 10 to the 4th power is 10,000, so it's A. Number 10, a lot of you guys haven't seen matrix problems before, matrices. A matrix is a rectangular array of numbers, and you can only add or subtract matrices if they're identical as far as their number of columns and rows. Like you can't add a 2 by 3 matrix to a 2 by 2. You have to have equal cells. So what you do, because it says take matrix A and add matrix B. So you're going to add the 2 corresponding cells. So 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus negative 1 is 4. Negative 4 plus 6 is 2. And 7 plus 8 is 15. So the answer was G. Okay, next one, 11. This one,
I'm just grabbing this.
This one is telling you to take matrix B and subtract matrix A. So here's B, and I rewrote it, and I'm going to subtract A. So you're going to do negative 1 minus negative 2, which is 1. 3 minus 3 is 0. Negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8, and 4 minus negative 8 is 12. Make sure you change the signs. Number 12. They are giving you a function, f of x is equal to 3x squared minus 18x plus 33. What's when x is 2? You're going to plug 2 in here and do the math. Follow order of operations, you end up getting 9 is the answer. Make sure you square this first, then multiply it by 3, and then negative 18 times 2 is negative 36, plus 3, add these up, you get 9. Number 13. What would be the solution to this set of linear equations? Well, I multiplied the bottom equation by negative 4, and I added, I got 11y is equal to negative 11. So y I said is negative 1. Then I quickly, to save time, I look at my answers. Since we got an answer, it's not D or E. If you got something like 0 equals 0, that's infinite solutions. If you got 0 equals something like 3, that's no solution. So those are the two, the no solution and infinite solution ones. But now, it's got to be between these 3, and obviously the only one that has y is negative 1 is C. So don't do the whole problem. Pick the answer and move on. Same with number 14. You read this and you go, oh geez. At first I looked at this and I thought, oh, this is going to be a hard one. And then after I read it once, I read it twice. They're comparing 2 kinds of coffee. Arabian coffee, Arabic coffee, I think it's Arabian coffee and Colombian coffee. So they tell you 3 pounds of the Arabic coffee plus 5 pounds of the Colombian coffee costs $73. So that's one equation. 3A plus 5C is 73. And you keep reading. This is 4 pounds of the Arabian coffee and 8 pounds of the Colombian coffee is $110. So then I said, okay, I'm going to get rid of the A's. So I multiplied the top by 4, the bottom by negative 3, and I got rid of the A's, and I said, okay, C is 9.5. So and it tells you right here, it goes A, then C. A is the Arabic coffee, C is the Colombian coffee. So which of these, the second one, is 9.5? Is G. So I didn't even have to finish this problem. Didn't even have to finish it. And the last one. So I looked at this one and I said, I don't feel like factoring that. So what, did anyone else have that same feeling? So I said, calculator time. I turned my calculator on, hit tab, arrow up, and I'm gonna delete this equation right here, and I'm gonna type in 6x squared minus 11x
Please excuse this interruption.
minus 10.
All students that are going to see monument men are now to report to the commons. Thank you.
So now, check this out. There's your picture. If you had to guess, there's your picture. So one of the answers is between 0 and -1, and one of the answers is between 2 and 3, right? 2 and 3. So if you had to guess which one it is, which one would it be? Would you pick?
B.
You'd pick B?
No.
It's A. Because I said it's between 2 and 3, so 2.5. So it's not 5, it's bigger than 1, it's bigger than 2/3, it's bigger than this one. Why would you not take this one? Because it's not -1. It's less than -1. Sorry for the color, but it's less than -1. It has to be that. Now let's say you're not really sure and you want some more proof. How could you get these two answers? You hit menu and you hit window or analyze graph, and then you want to hit 0. Then see this right here? You're going to hover over, go to the left, because remember we did before in the other calculator's lower bound? Click on that and then arrow over. Supposed to, there it is. And as soon as you see 0, there it is. It's -0.667, which is -2/3. So then let's say you want to find that 0. Hit menu, analyze graph, 0, 0, and go close to it. Click on it, and then move to the right. As soon as you see it'll pop 0. It's supposed to, but it didn't. Click. Try it again. Menu. Oh, there it is. It popped up, 2.5. So there it is. So that's how you do find the zeros. Does anybody have any questions on those?